still can't find Mark. Where is he?
Well, there was a Sasquatch reporting. Could be him.
Is he chasing them? Is that what he's doing?
Who knows what Kirkhoff's
All
doing? Anyway, good morning and welcome to Knights at the Roundtable. And with us today is analyst Rick Fletcher, boys assistant basketball coach Brian Maurer, and head girls basketball coach Sara Mayo. Thanks for joining us this morning.
Thanks for having us.
Absolutely, my pleasure.
Well, and let's get some business done here, Rick. Knights at the Roundtable is brought to you by Farm Bureau Insurance agents Corey Baker, Brian Maurer, trying to get some TV time here, and Harley Cook. And we'd like to thank them for their support. Stop knocking on wood. If you need an insurance need, call one of your Farm Bureau Insurance agents, specifically Baker, Maurer, or Cook.
And they're responsible for a multi-dollar budget. Too.
Yes, yeah, we went from $1 to $1.50.
Yes, so we'd like to thank you, Brian.
Hey, it's
We
for the
appreciate
kids. It's for the kids, right?
Well, let's start off with Sara here.
Yeah.
You guys had 2 games this week. On the winning end of one, on the losing end of another. What's some takeaways from that?
National Trail, we played them in summer, I think twice. First time we played them, I believe they beat us by like 15. Second time was by 5, and then we beat them when it counts. Going to Union City, we knew that was going to be an interesting game. Just in general, there was a lot riding behind it. Obviously, the girls wanted to get that TEC win. They were missing their big girl. We were missing Marissa Cates. She had a great game on Tuesday.
Oh, absolutely.
But ended up getting injured at the end of that game. Still hitting the free throws, but ended up getting injured, and she was unable to play on Thursday. So I think that hurt us a little bit in the guard play. We didn't have another person to really take care of the ball and to take some of that weight off of Ava. But I feel like in the fourth quarter, the girls, they kicked it up a notch. I just wish they would have done it before quarters. But I think they're starting to find what they are able to do.
So assess the season so far, Sara. I know obviously the record, you're 3-7, so the wins aren't where you want them to be. But we've said from the beginning, Jerry, with girls basketball, it's going to be a work in progress. So where are we on that progress line?
It's going to be a continued progress throughout the entire season. Our schedule is very, very difficult, much like the boys. You want to have a hard schedule to hopefully turn things out come sectional time. And that's what we keep talking about with the girls, is that there is a bigger prize on the line. Keep working, don't give up. I think the girls are finally starting to realize, it's not all about wins, it's about how we compete, and the progress that is made during every game and every practice, and how they're able to adapt and be coachable. And I think they're really starting to grasp that. We don't have as much negativity as we did at the beginning of the year, because I think they're starting to come full circle with themselves.
Well, we're talking about, and this goes for the boys team also, that we have the ability to grow. There's a lot of teams that already hit their growth spurt, and this is where they're going to be the rest of the year. They're not going to get better. We, on the boys and girls teams, both have room to grow, which is, ought to be from a coaching standpoint, a great thing.
I know I was talking to a fellow TEC coach, and she and I were discussing, and she said, aim with them, you don't want to peak at the beginning of the season. And that kind of helped ease me a little bit, having that realization of what we've had in previous years is not maybe what we're necessarily going to have this year, but I feel like these girls are going to peak at the right time.
Good. And that's what and the girls sectional, just like the boys sectional, very winnable. If you can put 2 or 3 games together, very winnable.
Yeah, I think our girls sectional is pretty wide open this year, as far as I can see. So everybody's going to be competitive as well as. So I'd like to, Brian, boys are kind of new in their season, 2-2 so far. Give us your assessment where you're at.
Well, I think, the main thing for us right now, and I know Coach Ross has harped on it a little bit, we lost a lot of points and a lot of shots, over the end of, the last couple of years. So I think we're still trying to find our identity, get some role definition with some of our guys. We've got some guys that the last couple of years might have had 1 or 2 different jobs. Now we need them to maybe score or do some different things. But that's, kind of like Sara's team, it's a work in progress. They're in there working on some stuff right now. It's, as a coaching staff, that's the fun thing, making those little tweaks and things to get those guys involved in different ways and really have an impact on the game.
So what I've seen of the boys team, you have a very inside presence. You got a lot of that right there, and we're basically, okay, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but we're an inside team. You got Faust, you've got Lumpkin, and those are big guys down there, and you try to work them in there. But are we addressing like outside shooting? You got Wes Hunt, who puts it up.
Yeah, we stress to the kids, we've got some shooters on this team.
Yeah.
It's just a matter of taking good shots at the right time. You got time, possession, situation, those kind of things. And we want our shots coming from inside out. If we're just swinging it around the arc and chucking it from the corner, that's not a beneficial possession for us. So we want to start inside, get the ball to one of those two guys at the elbow or the block, and then, if we can find that reversal pass or somebody at the top of the key, those are good shots for us.
So watching that Eastern Hancock game, they're a sectional opponent. They're going to be a tough out, just like we are.
Sure.
Imagine the 3-point nightmares were happening last night because they were hitting the threes.
Well, definitely early on. Our scouting report, we had, of course, the Spalding brothers and the Neal kid. They could definitely fill it up from the outside, and we knew that going in. It was the other guys last night.
Yeah.
I think
everybody was hitting.
3 of their guys, 2 of which came off the bench, combined for 7 or 8 of their 12-team threes. So, but if you look at the stats from last night, I think they were 9 for 12 in the first half, and they were 12 for 37 for the game. So the style that we wanted to play, it worked. It just kind of kicked in a little later. I mean, I know you guys saw, the trap in the second half and how that, played a role in the game and the pressure. We got to their legs. A lot of those shots in the second half for them were short. It did what we wanted to do. It's just, some of those role players we weren't really expecting, to kill us from 22 feet. It did last night.
Well, you're working your way through, okay? You're preparing for what the prize ahead.
Sure.
Just like, Sara, I want to go to you in the Union City game the other night. That fourth quarter, you mentioned it, and I was watching that. Hey, you played the whole game like you played in the fourth quarter. You showed your capability. It's a different outcome potentially.
Yeah, and I mean, Maurer played well. She killed us. I mean,
Yeah.
she's a fantastic athlete.
She's probably still shooting this morning and hitting from 10 feet.
I would hate to see her field percentage.
Oh.
I'm not sure that she missed at all. It didn't feel like she did anyway. But she is probably the most natural jump shooter in girls basketball I think I've ever seen.
Yeah.
She killed us. But, the girls came back fighting in the fourth quarter. I think our legs got to us. I think their legs got to us. And I'm sure you guys saw in that first quarter, it was like bing, 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 bing,
Yeah.
where it was just, we got into a rat race with them, and this should have never happened.
Yeah.
Well, these are things we live and we learn from.
Yeah.
And so the next time that you start to play somebody like that, you'll get into that, whoa here.
Yep.
Pull the reins back a little bit. Let's play this for the long term, not for 8 minutes. Let's play for 32. And that's the way it works. Uh-oh, what's this? Oh, we just got a text in from our audience, since they know
That's not Mark or Sasquatch.
No, it's not Sasquatch.
Okay.
This is from Stephanie.
Okay.
I think that might be Bob or Tim's sister that was in the audience the other day.
A new listener. Well, welcome, Stephanie. We're glad to have you.
AAU basketball. Now, club volleyball, the game doesn't change. And then travel baseball, the game doesn't change. So we get to AAU basketball. Why does the game become offense, period, and no defense? And because of that, how does that affect you when they come in after playing the AAU season? Sara, we'll start with you.
I mean, I think the first thing I think about is the difference in systems. So they go from an AAU system, playing that for 7,
Long time.
8 months. Sometimes they're playing when they shouldn't be playing. They should have that off time. But I think getting that transfer of coming into school ball, where it's more structured and has maybe higher expectations, especially defensively. But AAU, I mean, I feel like I played AAU. I'm a fan of AAU. I'm not a fan of the habits that AAU creates. I think any exposure and game time that kids can get is good, but it's got to be managed. I think some kids get into, like I said, playing too much, and then when they get to us, now they're burnt out. That's something that I have seen in the past. When a long season becomes longer because you've never quit, it makes it challenging for some of the kids to get through our season. Luckily for us in December, we have a very large break for games, so I give the kids truly probably too much time off. But I feel like it's time off that's needed for a lot of them, especially with the numbers that we have this year. They're going to get the time off. They need time to recover. They need time to be with their families. They are going into finals week next week. But AAU is AAU. Everything's going to change every once in a while. I think the offensive mindset of it gives the kids confidence. But I also think that you still have to break habits, especially the defensive mindset.
Yeah, I'll echo Sara. I'd love that the kids want to play. As a coach, you hear you got a group of kids that are out trying to get better in summer. That's great, right? But again, it's definitely more offensive oriented. The games are officiated a little bit differently, and it's one-on-one. A guy gets the ball 25 feet from the basket, he's going to go to the rack or pull up or do whatever. Whereas again, in school ball, it's a little more structured. There's a system that you want guys to run, be in certain spots, look at certain looks rather than just dragging their guy to the basket off the dribble. And then just defensively, those kids know that it's one-on-one in AAU, so they know if they got their guy, they're on an island. Whereas, in school ball with that structure, they've got a system, they've got guys backing them up, help side, backside rebounding, those kind of things. So in the fall, it's definitely tricky when we're going through our kind of off-season workouts, getting the habits back to where we need them to be. So that's frustrating at times for sure as a coach, but at the end of the day, the kids are wanting to get better during the summer, and so you can't fault a kid for doing that. Just wish kind of maybe some of these AAU coaches went about their systems a little bit differently.
Well, I've been to a lot of these AAU tournaments that the college coaches are there, and I've talked to a lot of them, and all of them say one thing and is consistent, is we would like to see one kid pass the ball with one hand, either right-handed, left-handed, that's a passer, a playmaker. He says, we can find people that can shoot all day long, but someone's got to get the ball to them. And that's the big thing I think that high school basketball brings that AAU does not. I think if AAU started doing that they would put themselves on a much higher pedestal than where they are with the college coaches. And let's face it, the only reason the college coaches even go to these because they can watch 800 or 900 kids at the expense of one. That's the only reason the AAU's alive is because they can do that.
That brings up another question that I have, and I'll address either one of you here. You mentioned burnout. If you're playing all year round just basketball, you can tend to burn out. Do you encourage your kids to do other sports? You used to coach volleyball,
Yep.
so I'm assuming you know a lot about volleyball. And so is that an encouragement to you? My thinking is if you get a girl to play volleyball, it'll improve her basketball skills.
Right. I feel like the kids should be well-rounded in multiple sports. Science says that if you go one sport, you're not using the same muscles or developing the same muscles or coordination or anything if you stay within the one. If you spread out and branch out to other sports, even golf. I'm not a golfer, and I golf.
Neither's Brian.
That's why I brought it up. But I've golfed, and you're sore after, and that's not something growing up. I'm like, oh yeah, putt golf, But golf even requires different muscle. It requires different hand-eye coordination to the ball. It's a smaller ball. You've got a smaller stick, and I think kids should play different sports. Whether it be cross country, golf, volleyball, track. I think that they should get out there and do other things.
What are your thoughts, Brian, as far as, encouraging your kids to do other things?
Oh, absolutely. Like Sara said, just for young kids, just developing their bodies. I think a lot of the different muscles and that stuff, that's great. And we encourage our kids to do a lot of stuff. We're at a small school in a small community, right? It's a numbers game for us. There's only so many boys, so many girls. The football teams need those kids, the baseball teams, tennis teams, golf teams. And the coaches, I know Coach Ross, with Coach Oler and Coach Baker, they work together with their schedules and let these kids do all the different things. It's about the experience for these young people, right? And we don't want to force basketball on them 10 months a year and say, all right, that's all you're going to do. That's taking away a lot of experience for these young people, and just letting them have that opportunity.
Now, Bailey Whistler, all right?
I love that girl.
We've grown fond of her ourselves. We love seeing her out there in the JV games.
So she played some JV basketball this year as a help out, and I don't think she never played basketball before, has she?
Yeah, she has.
Has she?
Yeah.
Well, anyway, she is amongst the trees out there, and
Fearless,
smiling and having a good time.
Ear to ear smile all the time. Doesn't matter what happened.
And on the golf course, she's wicked. I mean, she's not real big, but man, she can hit a ball. She'll smack it. And so that goes back to what we're talking about here, is that crossover and having, enjoying it, and she enjoyed. That's the thing we like about her. She just enjoyed that. One girl, I forget which game it was, picked her up. She just had the ball, picked her up, threw her to the floor, and I'm like, and she gets up just smiling, and I'm like, this is great.
She's not very big.
No.
And so you mentioned something, Brian. A lot of these schools, aside from Northeastern, if they have success in their sports programs, their athletes are playing multiple sports. And that's what it's going to take. So we're a small school. We're at the small end of the 2A, I think, actually.
Yeah.
As far as our school size. So, it's good that we encourage our kids to play multiple sports, and it's fun. You build memories in other areas too. So, anyways.
Well, Rick, I think we're just about to wrap up here for our last show.
Yeah, let's remind everybody that
2021.
Yeah,
this is the last Nights of the Roundtable for the year. We're going to take 3 weeks off. Rick and myself need to recharge the old ever-ready batteries.
It's a lot of work goes into Two Old Guys production, let me tell you.
Yeah, that's why it's called Two Young Guy Productions. It's 2 old guys and Mr. Luby.
Yeah, and we've got some good things hopefully planned, for after the first of the year.
We got some new stuff that's going to happen on the broadcast that hopefully we'll get our equipment in, as long as it's not sitting off the coast of California or something.
Supply chain issue.
A supply chain issue.
We'd like to thank Brian as being part of Farm Bureau Insurance. Thank you for that, for our multi-dollar budget here.
And so, we like the Nights of the Roundtable would like to thank Farm Bureau Insurance for their continued support. Corey Baker and Brian Maurer and Harley Cook. If you have an insurance need, life, home, whatever.
Farm, commercial, we got it all.
Commercial.
Yeah, right. Give us the commercial, Brian. Right?
They do it all. And, call your Farm Bureau agent and get something. I've been with Farm Bureau for 15 years. I've never had an issue. So
I wish you guys Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays.
Thanks so much. Same to you, for sure.
I'm sure we'll be talking to you after the first of the year. We'll get you back in here, I'm assuming. Before you know it, it's going to be sectional time. It's not that far away. So we'll have to do something for sectional time.
yeah, we will.
Come up with something.
Well, for Rick Fletcher and Brian Maurer and Sara Mayo, I'm Jerry Middleton. And you know what? Ho, ho, ho. It's been another good night.
That's a wrap.